all you literary legends and luminaries. I'm Julie, and welcome to another episode of Write Smart. Today's episode is a book you will not want to read. It's James Patterson's The Last Days of Marilyn Monroe. I've been bamboozled. I am very embarrassed. So I'm at Barnes & Noble during their double stamp and their 50% off hardcover book event. I'm on the way up to the register when on an end cap I pass The Last Days of Marilyn Monroe. I don't read much fiction, so I'm pumped because I would have never found this book otherwise. My students always ask for James Patterson books, and I don't know much about him, only that he's a prolific writer, and I'm not overly interested in anything he writes. But this is a Marilyn Monroe book, and despite my disgust with Joyce Carol Oates' Blonde, I know that within these fictionalized stories of Marilyn's life, I might discover some information I didn't already know. Plus, the title, The Last Days of Marilyn Monroe, leads me to believe that the focus of the book will be on those last few weeks leading up to her death, which, if you are a Marilyn Monroe fan, you know there's so many theories surrounding her death. I thought it might be a fascinating read. Oh dear, I was so wrong. First of all, the title is the most misleading title there ever was. The book is essentially another biography of Marilyn's entire life. Had I known that, I would have never picked it up because I'm pretty sure James Patterson has spent zero time researching anything of significance about Marilyn Monroe. Secondly, I've read so much about Marilyn that I'm selective on what I read about her, especially if it's an all-encompassing biography. So I would have never ever bought this book had I known that. By about page 20, I was like, what is this crap I'm reading? The book is predominantly dialogue with Marilyn's thoughts interspersed. It takes random events and conversations and plugs them into a poorly developed scene. There are references at the back of the book, which I really think those articles and books were just uploaded to ChatGPT, and that's how the chapters were written. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. So let me read you an example because, you know, misery loves company. And I suffered through way too many pages of this. Okay, so this is chapter 34, and that's, all we've got. 15 hours later, the newlyweds emerge. They climb back into the Cadillac and continue driving south on US 101, stopping around 2 p.m. for lunch at the Motel Inn in San Luis Obispo. A newsman from the local Telegram Tribune is finishing his meal when the couple takes a corner table. "You're kind of lost, aren't you?" he asked them. "Nobody seems to know where you are between here and San Francisco." "No," DiMaggio says, "but it won't take them long to catch up." The newsman calls in the chance celebrity sighting to his editor, who sends a photograph over to the Motel Inn. The cameraman takes a sympathetic approach. "I would like to shoot your picture, but I know you're on your honeymoon. You name it." "My wife doesn't have any makeup." "I'd really rather not," DiMaggio says, rejecting the photographer's idea to shoot Marilyn with her back to the camera. "We've had so much of this," the new husband pleads. "I'll appreciate it very much if you don't shoot us at all." Remembering the Yankee great as being generous and decent with the press, the photographer lowers his camera. I mean, what's the point of that scene? And that's how everything reads. It is how the entire book reads, and it's bad. So I did a little research in the hopes that I wasn't foolish in buying this book, that others were bamboozled like me. Well, apparently it's a well-known fact, at least according to the internet, that James Patterson is more of a brand or a franchise than anything else. He co-authors tons of books. Upon more research, he meets with a group of people, takes down their ideas, writes an outline, and then hands it over to someone else to write. So then I researched Imogene Edwards Jones, which if you notice in the title, she gets a teeny tiny thing under his name. She's a travel writer of all things, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. So I'm just disgusted that I wasted my money on a book so poorly titled and written. However, some people applaud James Patterson for co-authoring books with lesser-known authors, which in turn gives the other author popularity and publication. But I can't get past how bad the writing is. I haven't read much popular fiction in the past 5 years, maybe even the past 10 years, but this is horrible. It makes me worry that if other people find these types of books good, and if people buy these books, that's sending the message to publishers that this is what sells, so why bother worrying about the art of writing? I know that writing is subjective and based on what New York considers good writing, and the name matters more than the product. But I just get so mad reading it. It's like AI wrote it and wrote it very poorly. But I kept reading it, hoping it would redeem itself, that maybe the ending was at least worth it. It wasn't. I cannot express this enough. Do not buy this book. So the writing question today is, what makes a good book? What makes good writing? It seems as though everyone says pretty much the same thing about it, but yet when I read this book, or books like it, I know the only reason it was published is because it was James Patterson and then a book about Marilyn Monroe, and that's it. So where does that leave those of us unknowns who are writing, who fear they aren't good enough, then read something like this that leaves us wondering, how in the world did this get published? Reading something of this crappy caliber just deflates the artist in you. You think when you're writing that it's not good enough, and then you read something like this, and then you're just dumbfounded how it's an actual book. On the bright side, though, when you read something this crappy, you think, hey, I can write better than this, even if no one ends up reading it. Thanks for watching. As always, my goal at Write Smart is to write books so that we can read books and get a little bit smarter, one book at a time.